It was a humid July evening in Austin, Texas, the air thick with the scent of mesquite and the hum of cicadas, when my phone lit up with a bank alert that shattered my reality. A $600,000 loan and my main money I'd never touched had drained. My savings frozen my accounts and left me teetering on the edge of eviction from my modest apartment. My older brother, Ethan, was posting Instagram stories from a yacht off Miami, his new Rolex gleaming under the sun, all funded by my debt. But the gut punch came later. My parents knew the whole scheme and begged me to stay silent to protect him. Now I'm crashing in my beat-up Ford F-150, plotting my next move under the stars. What would you do in my shoes? I'm Riley Dawson, 27, a freelance web developer carving out a living in Austin's vibrant but cutthroat tech scene. My life is a patchwork of hustle $50,000 a year. A cramped one-bedroom apartment near South Congress with creaky floors and a leaky faucet. And a 2012 Ford F-15 I snagged used for $8,000. I've always been the good kid in our family. The one who paid off my $30,000 college loan by 25 with late-night coding gigs, kept my credit score hovering above 750, and sent mom a bouquet of daisies every Mother's Day. Growing up in a modest San Antonio neighborhood, our house was a single-story ranch with a sagging porch and a backyard where Dad grilled burgers every 4th of July. I was the quiet one, hunched over a clunky desktop coding basic websites, while my brother, Ethan, 30, commanded the spotlight. Ethan was the golden child star quarterback at Reagan High, always cracking jokes that had the family roaring, and Dad's fishing buddy. On the Guadalupe River, Mom doted on him, framing his football trophies on the living room mantel while my Strata report card sat unframed in a drawer. He had that effortless charm, the kind that got him out of detention for skipping class or borrowed my first car, a hand-me-down Honda Civic, for a date with the head cheerleader. After high school, Ethan bounced between jobs, bartending, at a honky-tonk, flipping burgers at Whataburger, even a brief stint selling used cars. Nothing stuck, but he always landed on his feet, flashing that grin and a new story. 2 years ago, Ethan showed up at my apartment, his boots scuffing my hardwood floor, carrying a six-pack of Shiner Bock. The AC was broken and sweat beaded on his forehead as he popped a cap and handed me one. "Riley, I need a favor," he said, his voice casual but his eyes intense. "I'm starting a business high-end car detailing. Banks won't touch me with my credit, but yours is solid. Can I use your name for a loan? Just $50,000, I swear. I'll pay it back quick, maybe in 6 months." He leaned back, sipping his beer, his confidence uncheckable. His eyes were earnest, the same ones that convinced me to cover for him when he dented Dad's truck at 17. He was my brother. I trusted him. So I signed the papers he slid across my coffee table, thinking it was a small risk for family. He hugged me, his cologne overpowering, and called me his rock. He promised to handle everything, detailing a vision of luxury. Cars gleaming under Houston lights. I didn't dwell on it after that. Ethan had a history of rebounding after the car sales flop. He'd bartended his way to a new wardrobe. I was buried in work, coding responsive sites for startups, meeting clients at Torchy's Tacos with its spicy queso, and navigating Austin's traffic nightmares on my bike. Life rolled on until last month, when the ground gave way beneath me. It began with a call from my landlord, Mr. Alvarez, a gruff retiree who owned the building and chain-smoked on the stoop. "Riley, you're 2 months behind on rent," he growled, his voice crackling through the line. I laughed, incredulous. "No, wait, I paid $1,300 on the first. Check your ledger." But when I logged into my Wells Fargo app, my account was locked, a red banner screaming, "Fraud alert." My debit card got declined at Whole Foods, where I'd been grabbing kale and hummus for the week. My credit card, a $10,000 limit I kept For emergencies was maxed at $20,000 with charges I didn't recognize. Then the eviction notice arrived, slipped under my door with a 30-day deadline, citing unpaid debts tied to my name. I spent 3 hours on the phone with Wells Fargo, my hands trembling as I punched through their automated system, muttering, "Curses at the hold music." A rep finally connected, her voice flat. "Ms. Dawson, we show a $600,000 loan in your name. Originated 8 months ago with Lone Star Finance for a business venture." My stomach lurched. I demanded documents, and after a heated exchange, they emailed a PDF. The loan was for a high-end auto detailing enterprise in Houston owned by Ethan Dawson. The borrower? Me. The signature on the dotted line was a shaky mimicry of mine. I'd never seen those papers, never authorized a dime. I collapsed onto my thrift store couch, the eviction notice crinkling in my fist, and opened Instagram. Ethan's profile was a gaudy showcase. There he was, posing on a yacht off Miami, a Rolex winking on his wrist, captioned, "Living the dream. Hashtag entrepreneur life, hashtag success. Another story showed him at a Houston steakhouse, toasting with suited clients, tagged at Dawson Detailing HQ. A third clip featured him cruising in a cherry red Mustang, the wind tousling his hair, all posted yesterday. He wasn't just living off my loan, he was flaunting it while I dodged calls from collection agencies, demanding payments on a debt that could bury me for decades. I drove to my parents' house in San Antonio, a 2-hour trek down I-35 that felt like a march to the gallows. The ranch-style home loomed familiar sunburnt lawn, rusty swing set where Ethan and I once fought over the last push, the Dawson plaque faded by Texas sun. Inside, Mom was baking chocolate chip cookies, the kitchen warm with vanilla, while Dad watched a Rangers game, the TV blaring. I didn't ease into it. I slammed the eviction notice, loan papers, and bank statements onto the coffee table, the papers skidding across the wood. "Ethan did this," I said, my voice quaking. "He used my name for a $600,000 loan. I'm being evicted because of him." Mom's spatula halted mid-stir, dough clinging to the metal. Dad muted the game but kept his eyes on the screen. The silence was a vice. Finally, Mom spoke, her voice soft but laced with tension. "He didn't mean it, Riley. Ethan's just ambitious. It's a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding." I yelled, my voice bouncing off the wood-paneled walls. "He stole my identity. I'm living in my truck, Mom. I've got debt collectors calling every hour for a loan I didn't take." Dad finally looked up, his face a mask of sternness. "Calm down, Riley. Ethan's your brother. He'll sort it out. Just don't make waves." I felt like I'd been sucker punched. They knew. They'd known for months. Ethan had invited them to the grand opening of Dawson Detailing last October, a lavish event with a live band and catered brisket. They'd toured the polished garage, marveled at a freshly waxed Bentley, and sipped craft IPAs with his investors, all while I was coding late nights, unaware my life was being hijacked. They'd even met his girlfriend, Sasha, a statuesque model who danced in a TikTok video hyping the shop, her laughter echoing in the background. "Why didn't you tell me?" I demanded, tears burning my eyes, my voice cracking. Mom wiped her hands on her apron, her gaze dropping to the floor. "We didn't want to worry you," she murmured. "Ethan promised he'd pay it back. He said you were fine with it." "Fine with it?" I laughed, the sound bitter and raw. "I'm being evicted. My credit's trashed. He's racked up $75,000 in credit cards for cars, a Miami trip, and a sound system." Dad shook his head, his jaw tight. "Family sticks together, Riley. Don't turn on him. He's your blood." I stormed out, the screen door slamming with a bang that echoed down the street. Back in my truck, I scrolled through Ethan's Instagram again. each post a fresh wound. He was in Miami now, posting from a penthouse suite. His story is a montage of ocean views, champagne toasts, and hashtags like hashtag hustle and hashtag millionaire mindset. While I ate gas station burritos and slept in a Walmart lot off I-35, my brother was living a high roller's life on my dime. I called Ethan that night, my hands shaking as I clutched my phone, parked in a shadowy corner of a truck stop near San Marcos. He answered on the second ring, his voice loud over thumping music and laughter. "Riley, what's good, sis?" "Don't play dumb," I snapped, my voice trembling with rage. "I know about the loan. The credit cards, the shop. You used my name, Ethan. I'm homeless because of you." He chuckled, the sound grating through. The line like I was fussing over a spilled drink. "Chill, Riley. It's just business. The shop's about to blow up. I'll pay it back when the cash flows. No big deal. No big deal." I was shouting now, my voice reverberating in the truck's cab. "You forged my signature. You took out $600,000 in my name. I'm getting evicted, Ethan. I'm living in my damn truck." "Man, you're too uptight," he said, his tone shifting to irritation, the background noise fading as if he'd stepped aside. "Mom and Dad said you'd understand. Just keep quiet, okay? For the family. Don't screw this up for me." I hung up, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might crack a rib. That's when the trap snapped shut. I was ensnared. My parents were on his side, pleading with me not to go to the police because it would ruin Ethan's future and shame. The family name? They even offered to let me crash in their garage, a cluttered space with a sleeping bag and a space heater, as if that could erase the fact that I was drowning in debt I didn't create. If I turned Ethan in, I'd be the one shattering the Dawson family facade. I'd be the villain, the selfish sister who couldn't let it go. In their eyes, Ethan was the dreamer and I was the obstacle. But I wasn't going to let him win, not this time. The betrayal fueled a fire in me, a resolve to fight back, even if it meant burning every bridge I had. The week that followed was a grueling test of survival. I'd been evicted from my apartment, my belongings, clothes, laptop, a box of childhood photos crammed into the cab of my Ford F-150. I bounced between truck stops and rest areas along I-35, parking under flickering sodium lights, the hum of Semis My Lullaby. My phone buzzed incessantly with calls from collection agencies, their robotic voices demanding payments I couldn't fathom. My freelance work crumbled. Clients like a local brewery and a vegan cafe dropped me when I missed deadlines. Too overwhelmed to code, I sought refuge at the Austin Public Library, a modern building with floor-to-ceiling windows, using their free Wi-Fi to research identity theft and loan fraud. I learned that Ethan's actions were felonies under Texas law: identity theft and forgery, punishable by up to 5 years in prison and hefty fines. But proving it required a mountain of evidence: loan documents, signatures, any trace of his. Deception. I requested records from Wells Fargo, Lone Star Finance, and the 3 major credit bureaus. My inbox soon a chaotic dump of PDFs that I poured over late into the night. I found a pro bono lawyer, Maria Gonzalez, through legal aid. Clinic downtown, a squat brick building near the Capitol. She was in her early 40s with sharp eyes and a desk buried under case files, her coffee mug chipped but full. "Your brother committed serious fraud," she said, her voice steady as she scanned the loan papers I'd printed. "We can sue him civilly, but it'll take time, possibly 2 years. The bigger hurdle is you're still liable for the loan, unless we prove you didn't sign. We'll need forensic evidence." Maria guided me through filing a police report at the Austin PD, a sterile station with buzzing fluorescent lights. The officer, a weary man named Officer Ruiz with a graying mustache, took my statement but offered little hope. "Family disputes are a mess," he said, sipping stale coffee from a styrofoam cup. You sure you want to press this? It's your brother. I nodded, my resolve hardening despite the knot in my stomach. I wasn't backing down. I dug deeper, my laptop screen glowing in the library's quiet corners. The loan application was a tapestry of lies. It claimed I earned $200,000 annually as a tech consultant at a fictitious firm, Dawson Digital, with a Houston address that didn't exist. The signature was a crude forgery, likely traced from an old lease I'd signed for my apartment or a check I'd endorsed for Ethan years ago. I also uncovered 3 credit cards in my name chase, Amex, and Capital One with $75,000 in charges, a cherry red Mustang lease, a $5,000 Miami trip with Sasha, and a $10,000 Bose sound system for the shop. Each discovery was a stab, proof of how deeply Ethan had plunged the knife. Then Maria dropped a bombshell during a late-night call. She'd subpoenaed Ethan's business records through a contact at the Houston DA's office and found a trail of smaller loans he had taken in my name over 3 years, $10,000 for a failed food truck venture, $15,000 for a poker debt he'd hidden, all paid off just enough to keep me in the dark. This wasn't a spontaneous grab. It was a calculated scheme honed over time. I felt like I'd been living with a phantom, not a brother. My trust exploited with surgical precision. I couldn't face this solitary battle. My friend Tara, a barista at my go-to coffee spot, Joe's on South First, noticed my haggard state. She was 26, a painter with paint-streaked hands and a sharp wit, her apron dusted with espresso grounds. "Riley, you look like hell," she said one morning, sliding me a free latte with a heart in the foam. I broke down, spilling the loan, the eviction, Ethan's betrayal, my voice cracking over the hum of the espresso machine. She didn't flinch. "Crash at my place," she offered, her brown eyes steady. "It's a fold-out couch, but it's better than your truck." Tara's apartment was a bohemian sanctuary in East Austin, a second-floor walk-up with exposed brick walls, canvases, leaning against every surface and fairy lights strung across the ceiling. Her fold-out couch was lumpy, the springs creaking under me, but I was a lifeline. She fed me leftovers tacos from Torchy's, homemade guacamole, and blasted indie rock from her vintage record player to drown out the collection agency calls. Her presence was a balm, her laughter a reminder of normalcy. Tara introduced me to her boyfriend, Jake, a paralegal at a mid-sized law firm near the campus. Jake was 28, lanky with a scruffy beard, his desk a chaos of legal pads and coffee stains. He wasn't a lawyer, but he knew the system and offered to help organize my evidence. "Your brother's a snake," he said, flipping through the loan. "Docs," his brow furrowed. "We'll build a case that sticks." He spent evenings with me, cross-referencing records, drafting timelines. His legal jargon a foreign language I was starting to grasp. With Maria, Tara, and Jake in my corner, I felt a flicker of hope. Jake tracked down emails between Ethan and the loan broker, hinting at a premeditated plan, while Tara kept my spirits up with late-night art sessions, her brushstrokes a metaphor for my fight. For the first time, I had a team, a fragile but growing support network. I needed to confront Ethan face to face to see the truth in his eyes. I drove to the Houston shop, a 3-hour haul up I-10, my truck rattling with every mile. The detailing shop was a gleaming beacon glass storefront, polished concrete floors, a row of Porsches and BMWs sparkling under halogen lights. Ethan was inside, joking with a client in a tailored shirt, that damn Rolex catching the light, his confidence unshaken. "Riley?" He blinked, caught off guard as I stormed in, the bell above the door jingling. "What are you doing here?" "I'm taking my life back," I said, stepping onto the showroom floor, my boots echoing. The air smelled of wax and leather, a shrine to his stolen success. I laid out the evidence on a workbench police report, forged loan application, texts where he admitted borrowing my name papers, spreading like a map of his deceit. His face shifted from smug to panicked, his client slipping away unnoticed. "You can't do this," he stammered, his voice rising. "You'll ruin me. Mom and Dad will never forgive you." "They're already on your side," I said, my voice steady despite the fury boiling inside. "But I'm done covering for you. Transfer the shop to my name, pay the credit card debt, or face jail. Your choice." He laughed, a nervous, high-pitched bark. "You won't do it, Riley. You're too soft." I stared him down, then turned and walked out, the bell clanging behind me. That night, I called Maria and told her to move forward with the civil suit. We filed the next day, requesting a freeze on Ethan's assets and damages for the financial ruin he'd caused. I also sent the police the evidence, including a screenshot of his text. "Just keep quiet, okay? For the family." It was as close to a confession as I'd get. The legal fight was a slow bleed. Ethan's lawyer, a slick suit named Brad with a Rolex to match, tried to spin the narrative, claiming I'd agreed to the loan as an investment in Ethan's promising venture. It was laughable, but it stung to hear my parents back him in their depositions, taken in a sterile conference room at the San Antonio courthouse. "Riley's always been jealous of Ethan," Mom said, her voice trembling, her hands twisting a tissue. She wanted to help, but changed her mind when it got tough. Dad nodded, his eyes avoiding mine, his silence a louder betrayal. But the evidence was a fortress. The forensic handwriting expert, a gray-haired woman named Dr. Patel, testified that the signatures were forgeries, the ink patterns mismatched. Ethan's texts were a smoking gun, his casual admissions damning. The judge, a stern man with a gavel that cracked like thunder, froze Ethan's assets, including the shop, meaning he couldn't sell or borrow against it. For the first time, Ethan was the one sweating, his Instagram posts drying up. He called me late one night, his voice breaking through static. "Riley, please," he begged, the bravado gone. "I'll lose everything, the shop, the cars, Sasha. Just drop the suit, and I'll make it right." I hung up, my hand trembling, the weight of his plea mixing with my resolve. Then came the twist that nearly shattered me. My parents, desperate to save Ethan, offered their $100,000 retirement savings to pay off the $75,000 credit card debt if I dropped the suit. They sat me down at their kitchen table, the same one where we'd carved pumpkins as kids, the air thick with the scent of Mom's cookies. "Ethan's our son," Dad said, his voice heavy, his eyes red-rimmed. "We can't lose him to prison." I stared at them, my throat tight. "What about me?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "I'm your daughter too. I'm living on Tara's couch because of him." I stared at them, my throat tight. "What about me?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "I'm your daughter too. I'm living on Tara's couch because of him." Mom started crying, her hands covering her face. "We'll help you too. Riley, just don't do this. Don't tear the family apart." It was the hardest moment of my life. I loved them, Dad's gruff hugs, Mom's Sunday pot roast, but their loyalty to Ethan felt like a second betrayal, a preference carved into their bones. I refused their offer, my voice firm. He needs to face this. And so do you for enabling him. The civil suit dragged on for months, each hearing a war of documents and emotions. Maria was relentless, presenting the forged loan apps, the incriminating texts, and Dr. Patel's testimony. Brad fought back, calling character witnesses Ethan's old coach, a bartender friend painting him as a misguided dreamer. The courtroom, with its high ceilings and oak benches, became a stage for our family's unraveling, a gallery filled with curious onlookers dot in march. After a grueling deposition where Ethan admitted to borrowing my identity temporarily, the judge ruled in my favor. The shop was ordered transferred to my name to cover damages, and Ethan faced criminal charges for identity theft and fraud. The credit card companies, prodded by Maria, began clearing the debts from my record, but my credit score once a badge of pride would take years to climb back from 480. Ethan didn't take it well. He showed up at Tara's apartment one night, banging on the door, his face streaked with mascara from Sasha's makeup. "You're ruining my life," he screamed, loud enough to wake the building. "How could you do this to me?" I stood my ground, Tara and Jake flanking me, their presence a shield. "You did this to yourself, Ethan. You stole everything." He left, hurling a final curse, his figure vanishing into the Austin night. I'm standing in the Houston shop, keys in my hand, the hum of polishing machines a distant memory. It's June now, nearly a year since the eviction notice that appended my life. The shop is a paradox, sleek floors, gleaming tools, a testament to Ethan's ambition, but it feels like a hollow trophy. The victory is tainted, every corner whispering his betrayal. My parents haven't spoken to me since the ruling. Mom sent a single text. "We love you, but we need space." Dad's silence is a void. Ethan's out on bail, awaiting trial, his. Instagram a shadow of its former glory cryptic posts about new starts and selfies with Sasha at a dive bar. I blocked him, but not before seeing his latest, a photo with a for sale sign on a Mustang, captioned #hustle hard that I single quotes was still on Tara's couch, rebuilding my freelance business, my laptop screen a lifeline. The shop's mine, but I'm selling it $700,000, enough to pay off the loan residue and start over. Part of me wants to keep it, to turn it into something my own, but the memories are too heavy. I imagine a condo in Austin, a fresh slate, maybe a dog to fill the silence. I've started seeing a therapist, Dr. Ramirez, a soft-spoken woman with a degree from UT. "You're grieving more than alone," she said in our first session, her office lined with succulents. "You're grieving the family you thought you had." She's right. I miss Dad's barbecue ribs, Mom's lullabies, even Ethan's obnoxious laugh, but I can't go back. I'm learning to forgive myself for trusting him, for not checking my credit sooner. Dr. Ramirez calls it reclaiming agency, setting boundaries, saying no, putting myself first. It's a slow climb, like scaling a Texas hill, but I'm moving. Tara and Jake have become my family. We've painted the apartment together, her art a splash of color on my gray days. Jake's helped me file for a credit repair loan, a small step towards stability. I'm coding again, landing gigs with a startup in the domain, my inbox pinging with hope. Looking back, I see the signs I missed. Ethan's charm was a mask, his promises a trap. I should have questioned that $50,000 loan, monitored my credit, seen through his tears. My parents' blind loyalty hurt as much as the theft choosing Ethan's dreams over my survival. I'm learning to let go, not for them, but for me. The $600,000 wasn't the worst part. It was their silence that broke me. But from those shards, I'm building something new. What would you do? Sell the shop, keep it, or seek revenge? Drop your thoughts below. Like if you're Team Riley, follow for more family drama and share to spread the word.